Hi everyone, this is Nicole Spohr and welcome back to my channel. Today it's another day of a STAMPtember exclusive limited edition with the always popular Lawn Fawn. This is Eat, Sleep, and Be Merry. We're going to be creating this cute Lawn Fawn scene cards. I am using the coordinating dies as well as several other favorite Lawn Fawn products. So I used the Celery saturated ink from Simon Says Stamp first. Then we're going to be using the Lawn Fawn Tropical Leaves background stencil, and we're going to be using LIMELICIOUS. So this is kind of the mid-tone color in the green pack. I inked the white cardstock first, background with Celery to give a nice green base. I want everything to be very tropical vibe. This is a tropical vibe Christmas with cute lazy sloths. Then we're going to ink up LIMELICIOUS right over the top. The great thing about these tropical leaves is it's a two-part stencil. I'm going to actually ink this with LIMELICIOUS, hold the stencil in place, and then I'm going to use PEARFECTION. And then we're only going to ink up parts of the leaves with PEARFECTION. Once I remove the stencil, you're going to see that this gives some nice dimension to the leaves background. I really am trying with all of these STAMPtember exclusive videos to also incorporate other products so that really you get a little bit more, because I know once these stamp sets sell out, they're gone. However, hopefully you could take some of your other Lawn Fawn sets and create something similar. So that is my goal with this month's STAMPtember releases, is to always kind of share some other ideas in addition to the exclusive. I've taken the second stencil, lined it up, it fills in all of those open areas, and then I'm going to ink up with PEARFECTION. So that was the dark color that we just used with the first stencil. Now a happy accident is that Ocean looks amazing paired with PEARFECTION. I know you wouldn't normally think of maybe taking the blue with the green, but it really works here. I'm going to ink up only a portion of the leaves with the Ocean ink. When I remove it, I hope you guys love it as much as I do, because it really gives you some fun detail to those leaves. Off camera, I took some of the images from the STAMPtember 2001 Lawn Fawn exclusive Eat, Sleep, and Be Merry. I'm using the sloth on the branch that's sleeping, the sloth hanging from a branch, the little dream bubble, and 3 of the ornaments. I've stamped those on BRISTOL smooth cardstock with Jellyfish no line coloring ink from Lawn Fawn. Now I left the coloring, I didn't speed it up as much as normal. I've had some requests to leave it in, and because this video isn't super long today, I think it only runs about 22 minutes, I decided to leave that in. So it is sped up a tiny bit, but not a ton. So hopefully that gives you a little bit more peek into my thought process. I like to outline with my dark color. In this case, it was mid-brown. Then I'm going to pull out that color with beige, and we're going to finish with the medium beige. It's called medium beige, but you can totally see that it's not that dark. If you don't have medium beige, vanilla, light beige, flesh color would all be great options. So you definitely don't have to have all of those. Even a blender would work great here. Now, because this marker is so much lighter, be sure to clean the tip of that marker to get rid of any of that excess dark color before moving on to another area. For the claws, I'm using a little deep brown here, making sure to get that detail added in. And then we're going to move on to the face. The little mask, of course, is still going to be mid-brown and beige, but the rest of the face will mostly be beige and the medium beige color. Because I really wanted this card that, yes, is tropical, to have a Christmas feel to it, I went with a red-green theme. So you're going to see all of the accents on this card have a red tint to them. One thing to keep in mind, if you're going to use the red zigs especially, they tend to bleed if you color with them first. You're going to notice as I color everything in this card that red is saved for last. That's especially important when I color the brim and the pom-pom on this cute little sloth, the Sleepy Sloths hat, because I want that to be white, but I still need it to have some shading, so I used gray tint, which is really, really light. Well, when you do that, you definitely want to make sure the red is the last thing you do, or you're going to end up with red in those white areas. I also wanted to make sure this branch was a different tone than the sloth, so I used deep brown and oatmeal as my colors for that branch. And then I went in and drew some little lines on the branch to give it a little added interest. Here is that brim of the hat I was talking about. This is the gray tint. And I'm basically just outlining a bit with gray tint. You can kind of pull that out with a blender if you want to. And then I'm going to go in and do the hat. Now I started my hat with carmine red and light carmine, which is a go-to color combination for reds for me. You'll notice a little later in the video, I am even going to pull in some deep red because I think it just adds a little additional shading and depth and dimension. So that's just carmine and light carmine so far, but we will come back to that. As always, when coloring, no line coloring, a critter image, you want to make sure and go back in and add that detail to the face with a fine tip black pen. He instantly comes to life when you add in that little detail. Let's go ahead and color in our second sloth. This guy is hanging from the branch instead of just chilling, sleeping, and he has a scarf. He also will have a red accent because I want all of my accent colors and embellishments here to be red, especially with the green of our background and then the neutrals of our critters and branches. I think it's really important to have that little pop of color here. Plus, the red and green color combo definitely announces this is a Christmas card. You could use any color you want though. I just went with traditional since I tend to gravitate towards red for the holidays. Something that I always appreciate and love from Lawn Fawn is that these critters are going to match and coordinate with all of the critters that you already have on hand. I think that that is so important and so amazing because you can take your critters from last year's release, STAMPtember release, any of the past year's STAMPtember releases really that are in this case Christmas themed, and you can make really cool cards, as well as the entire Lawn Fawn collection of stamps and dies and all of the things. So you could really mix and match this set with things that you already have. I think it makes the Lawn Fawn STAMPtember set especially very usable beyond just the one type of card. You definitely can use this for all kinds of holiday designs or even winter cards by switching up the colors. I even think it would be fun to do maybe a little winter scene back behind them. I really wanted a chance to play with some of the tropical elements and do something a little non-traditional, and so that's why I kind of went this direction, but there is so much you can do with this darling stamp set. So really kind of think outside the box and think of what all you could do with this outside of just what I'm showing here today. So I'm gonna grab my stamp set. Of course, it's at the very bottom of my pile, as always. So in the stamp set, I am showing two of the sloths. There is also a cute little sloth peeking out of a stocking. That's your third critter. I'm using the 3 ornaments. There's also a gift package. There's like the little Z's that you could put in the dream bubble. There's some snowflakes. There's a candy cane that you can layer. I like the candy cane. I didn't use it, but it's really cute because it's an outline and then you get the little solid piece so you could give it the stripes. There's the ornament hanger that we're going to be stamping, as well as the little green pieces for the end of the branches. And then the milk and cookies, which I will be stamping in the dream bubble in a minute because our sleepy sloth is dreaming of milk and cookies. Me too. I'm kind of hungry while I'm voicing this over. And so that's just, I thought it was really cute. But you could put the little Z's in there. You could put the package in there, or snowflakes. Maybe these sloths are dreaming of snowflakes because they're in the tropics. Who knows? I always, like I said, tell myself these funny little stories, I guess, in my head, just as I'm building a scene especially. Now, after I colored in this sloth's scarf, I did everything else just like the one above, the branch too. I did go back in and add some little stripes with my darker marker, in this case, the carmine. I love adding detail to the scarf because I think it's just a fun little embellishing touch that adds a little something. All of my ornaments are also going to be red and green or red and white. I wanted them to coordinate with everything here. I didn't really want to introduce, pardon me, any additional color. The top of the ornaments, I did take my black fine tip pen and draw in the detail, as well as went back and added that detail to our little hanging sloth's face. I love his little smile. Remember, with ornaments that you want to be red and white, make sure you do the gray part first. So we'll be using a little gray tint here before bringing in the red, or if you're going to be adding green. I know I lived on the edge with that first ornament I did and did the red first, but normally try to do the red last. It is just not very forgiving. And here's a little red and white ornament. I didn't feel the scallop kind of had as much detail as I would have liked. So I did go back with a little bit darker gray marker here in a minute, and I am going to kind of draw that little scallop where the white meets the red. It probably doesn't matter that much, but you guys know how I am. There is the little red and green ornament. So much fun. I love this set. I hope you guys are loving it too. Lawn Fawn is always super popular. As a reminder, I'm going to try to remind you guys in each of my exclusive limited edition, the videos that go with those sets, I guess I should say, that these are one and done. When these sets sell out, they are gone. They will not be coming back. That is just how STAMPtember rolls. I know that usually quite a bit of stamps and dies are ordered for Lawn Fawn because it does happen to be one of the more popular ones. So definitely jump on that if you want it and get it while you can, because I know that it does always sell out. For the dream bubble, I did a little gray tint around the edge, and then I actually just took the milk and cookie image and an acrylic block and stamped it with jellyfish ink inside my dream bubble. And I'm going to color right over that with my marker. So this is going to be gray tint and gray for the glass. Actually, platinum brown is that dark color. And I think it's so misleading because it's not brown at all. That's the two colors I used for the glass of milk. For the cookies, we're using mid brown and beige, and then deep brown for the chocolate chips in them. And for the plate, I of course went back to red because anywhere I could incorporate a little bit of red into this design, I tried to do that. So there's just that. We are going to then stamp the remaining images for our scene. So I know I mentioned a minute ago, we have like the little hanger, the little string, whatever you want to call it, that we're going to be using for the ornaments, and then the little greenery pieces for the tips of the branches. Now here's that deep red marker that I went in and grabbed because I think that the images need it. So I deepened and darkened where the hat folds over itself. I added the stripes. I kind of colored over what I just, excuse me, just did so that they were a little more prominent, and just kind of making sure that the shading is just how I want it, I guess. And then we're going to take manatee ink from Lawn Fawn. It's a nice gray ink, kind of a softish gray, not super light, but not real dark. And we're going to stamp those ornament hangers. Then we're going to stamp the little greenery pieces with the Simon Says Stamp Perfection ink and die cut those. So I die cut everything off camera. I've also die cut this tropical leaves background frame. Oh my goodness, we're gonna frame it up. So I started with the stenciled background, but I definitely knew that I think we need something else to tie it all together. In this case, the tropical leaves background is going to be perfect. I am going to go ahead and ink that up with Perfection and then take my ocean ink and deepen and darken some of the areas. You might notice that not everything popped out when I die cut my frame. That's totally okay. We can go back. I always like to take the Spellbinders Tool-in-One, the little brush roller end, and roll over this, and most everything's going to pop out without having to individually poke each of those little parts and pieces. I really love how the ocean ink doesn't look green. Green. It does look green. Doesn't look blue on this, but rather a nice deep dark green. Here's that Tool-in-One. I'm using the roller end to pop out everything. And it's flying everywhere. Don't tell anyone, but I just scooped that on the floor and then vacuumed later. We're going to put foam adhesive on the back of the frame and place this over our stenciled background. And instantly, this changes the whole card. I think this little step alone is one of the best finishing parts of my card design. Now, why I picked both of the sloths that are on a branch is because I loved the idea of one coming in from the left and one from the right. I think this builds just a super cute scene card. We're going to have the thought bubble coming up from the sleepy sloth, and then ornaments hanging from both branches, and finally finish with our sentiment. So I did adhere, excuse me again, my frame with foam adhesive around the edge, leaving all of the leaves without any adhesive behind them. This is important because we're going to be able to layer some of the leaves on top of the sloth or the branch or the different elements, and some back behind. And it really gives a lot of depth and dimension to our little scene card. So I'm putting foam adhesive on the sloths as well, kind of piecing together that foam adhesive on the back, and then I'm trying to figure out how to get this one to lay nice. Now the end of this branch curves a little bit, and so I found that I needed to snip the end of that off to hide it back behind the edge of my frame, and then I'm maneuvering the leaves with some tweezers to have some of them back behind. Now I don't want to put my foam adhesive on top of the leaves in this case, because it will smash them down. So I put the foam adhesive underneath the leaves and then popped the dream bubble on top. We're adding our leaves to the ends of the branches. These were stamped with the Perfection ink. And I know I'm speeding through our assembly a little bit to save some time. But then we want to hang our ornaments from the branches. Remember, you don't have to leave them this long. You can totally trim them down. Now, the thing about the ornament hangers is they are way, way too thin to put foam adhesive back behind. I didn't want to try to attempt to trim down my foam adhesive, so instead I put foam adhesive back behind the ornament, and then I secured the top end on the branch, which is already popped up with foam adhesive. That worked perfectly, and I did not have to then try to, figure out a way to hide my foam adhesive back behind that. And I really like that the ornaments are popped up as well, as I feel like that just lets the background fade into the distance and not be prominent. It lets these cute little STAMPtember exclusive images take center stage. We're going to finish with our last little guy here. Tweezers and an embellishment wand are your best friends when dealing with all these little parts and pieces. I did have to snip down my foam adhesive square, and I will trim this ornament hanger as well. It's going to be kind of over here on the right side of the card. We're going to tuck a little bit of it underneath a branch. Just need to scoot it over so it's not right on top of my sloth. I want it right kind of behind. And then we'll glue that down as well. I like how it's just kind of peeking, almost like we're decorating this tropical forest with hanging ornaments. It's time for our sentiments. Hands down, my favorite sentiment in the Eat, Sleep, and Be Merry STAMPtember set is "It's beginning to look a sloth like," and then you can say Christmas. Now the thing about the Christmas in this set is the same size and font as this, and I wanted Christmas to be a little bolder. Well, the great thing, like I just mentioned a little bit ago, is that Lawn Fawn coordinates everything, including a lot of their sentiments. They use a lot of the same fonts throughout. So I didn't exactly use the same font. I actually went and used an outside in or offset sayings Christmas sentiment, the outline, and stamped and embossed that on white. So both of these sentiments, one from Eat, Sleep, and Be Merry, and one from Offset Sayings Christmas, were stamped on black cardstock, heat embossed with white embossing powder, and then we're going to, guess what, die cut them with my favorite Simon Says Stamp Sentiment Labels dies. I don't even put these away anymore, you guys. I have a magnetic holder on my desk or right above my die cutting machine, and I have my 3 favorite sizes on it at all times so that I can just grab them and die cut my sentiments. I love the professional finished look that these dies give. So I'm simply just die cutting them down right now, and then I need to figure out where to place these cuties to finish off my card. Now, just like everything else, I want them popped up, but I want to make sure that the adhesive is not on top of the leaves. So I need to figure out where it's going to go on my card, and then not put foam adhesive underneath anything that will overlap. So the adhesive's really just what's adhered to our stenciled background, and then what's on top, I'll just put a little dab of glue over that because it's on top of the leaves. And then on the bottom, we're actually going to slip our foam adhesive back behind the leaves like we did with the Dream Bubble. And then we will pop our Christmas on top so that everything stays nice and flush. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for this Eat, Sleep, and Be Merry STAMPtember 2021 Lawn Fawn card. The supplies I used to create my card are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here is another video featuring Lawn Fawn Christmas that you might be interested in. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell to never miss a new card making video. Thank you guys so much for joining me for another STAMPtember 2021 video. We'll see you next time with even more inspiration. Thanks for watching.